We continue with our discussion on the realities of global lotteries and electronic job opportunity search. And we've been joined by our analyst on the team, and we would like to look at whether the lotteries and electronic job recruitment can improve the livelihoods of the people. When we talk about the electronic job recruitment, we know there are existing companies, and these companies, some either they are fake, as one may call it, and others either they are legitimate, illegal, illegitimate, the right technical professional word, the legitimate and the illegitimate, those which are doing it rightly. And linking it up with what happens with the lotteries all over the world, there have been some calls online, as you said, that the IT-based, the IT-led sector of lotteries, the day-to-day involvement of IT in advancing business, what we call the digital economy, tends to have what seems to be the right one or legitimate, which is not fake, and others, they say, others are scammers. Please, I would like to first welcome Mr. Anthony Sebale, our analyst on the team, and looking at maybe the information also has been able to gather into our analytical discourse. It's welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Doctor. So, Doctor, first of all, I want to appreciate Mr. Modene and Doctor for bringing up this topic. Well, as a young person, this really touches me so much because I have many of my friends who have been involved in this, and for many of them it hasn't gone so well. Just to take a look at the most recent happenings on BLQ, that particular company that actually had many Ugandans scammed of their money. Some sources say that Ugandans lost close to 60 billion. However, that's a hypothetical figure. The ministry says about 500 millions. So I personally got an invitation to actually be a participant in this. One of my female friends surprisingly texted me on a certain day and said, Anthony, there's this thing making a lot of money, you know. I try to understand, you know, to ask and get to know what really this meant, and she didn't actually give me details, you know, just like all scams come, you know, no details. They just tell you, put the money before it gets crazy so that you can come out with your money. So she even sent me some screenshots of her uncle who had actually participated and gotten the money. And I had started getting excited, but of course I didn't make my moves. I had to first wait and actually get to see what people are actually going through. And in actual sense, people made money for the first time. And you know how this is how all these schemes come. You know, people make money for a very short time, and before you know it, as people get in, these guys disappear with the money. Mr. Modene, I think, commented on one of those, happenings, and it was said that this company was registered under the Uganda Registration Research Bureau, Registration Bureau, Services Bureau, and it was not licensed, however, by the National Gaming and Lottery Board. And it's on this point that I would like to know the criteria for licensing a company and registering it. How can a company be registered under the URSB and not be licensed by the National Gaming and Lottery Board? And how can we overcome some of these challenges in the future? Because we understand more are coming. Before we know it, we are losing a lot of money and not levying a lot of taxes as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Anthony, and it's good you were a bit careful in investing your money in BLQ. And unfortunately, of course, like you say, many Ugandans lost their money in this scam. We've seen other scams come up using various forms of strategies to recruit members. This time round, this BLQ was using betting as one of the strategies to recruit members and, of course, ultimately scam people. So the reason we came out as the National Lotteries and Gaming Board was because this company started using betting activities to recruit people, and it was not licensed. Back to your question, for us to license a company to carry out betting operations, it must be a registered company. So basically, you must start your registration with the URSB and get registered with URA and all those legal requirements. So it's upon registration of a company that then you come to the National Lotteries and Gaming Board, where we have quite a number of requirements. We also require to license you for a certain category of gaming you need. So basically, you can't start from us as a gaming board. You have to first fulfill other legal requirements. Have a company registered with URSB. You must have a TIN number, so you must register with URA. So it's upon fulfilling other legal requirements that then you come to the gaming board, where we also have a set of requirements as per the category of the license you need, that then we license you to carry out your operations. So basically, what BLQ did was, it did not actually, when you look at their registration, they did not register as a gaming company. They registered as BLQ Football Investment Single Member Company. So, and they did, as per the records, they did register in July this year. And we actually got to know towards the end of July, and we started following up on their activities. They were really operating in a closed group. They had a Telegram group, they had a WhatsApp group. So, and how we got to know is they started advertising on Twitter and were quick to follow up. And of course, what we did was to raise an alarm as far as the gaming board is concerned.
Oh, I'm going back to you, Mr. Anthony. And as I say, as our analyst and researcher, there are two comparative analytical point of view I would like to start from you. We have a situation in our country where unemployment is a challenge. And especially about 69% of unemployed youth. And there is a scenario where we are having ranging upcoming programs, employment opportunities, both online. You find there are companies like Indeed, and those who have registered their emails, by the time you come across it, it shows you jobs. So one fails to know where to spend, especially for those who are searching for job opportunity, the rightful companies for recruitment, and compared to other opportunities that includes the gaming and lotteries we are talking about. To you, in your analytical view, which one is more feasible and justifiable, and how can one engage into the either in an appropriate manner that gives better results?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Doctor. Of course, I'll share thoughts with Mr. Mudeni here, that most of the problems we're having in our country are due to a lack of policy that gives people direction in terms of how they can get jobs and how they can create jobs. But when you come to the electronic kind of approach, from the National Lotteries and Gaming Board, they have already put in place a system. I think so, if at all I'm not mistaken, or they are going to put in place a computerized system that is going to be able to track and be able to know who is participating, their age groups, and this is going to be linked to NIRA, right? Now, if we have such systems in place, this is what all the developed countries have done. This is the best way we are going to actually overcome some of these challenges. And until we do that, we are still going to have people lose money in some Ponzi schemes. There are even Ponzi schemes that come, or pyramid schemes, that come as cryptocurrency based and so on, and the money is lost. We've seen Luna. There's a certain company called Luna. It came in, people started buying crypto, and before you know it, the company was closed, right? But all this comes due to lack of systems and policies that can be able to track the participation, they can be able to track regulation, and be able to actually govern this space. And Mr. Mudene will also agree with me that we need this technology or IT involvement sooner than later, because if we don't get into technology, trust me, we are getting way behind. And I think you've heard of Nigerians scamming people in the UK and even in the USA of money via email, right? You pay someone via email because they send an email that looks like one of your company, you know? So the stronger our IT systems will be, and I think since Mr. Mudene was an IT manager before becoming the CEO of the National Lotteries and Gaming Board, he has a better perspective of what IT can do in as regards regulation and also protecting consumers.
Okay, so to the viewers and maybe for conceptualization, the government intervention in terms of policy, regulating, the regulatory framework can be able to guide those who are interested to participate, how best they can participate and get better results. Mr. Dennis Ngabilano, recently I was able to have an encounter. There's a certain friend, Nigerian friend, and recommended me, my name to another company. I've even up to now not understood the dynamics of it because I had not developed interest, which is looking at the online, this electronic kind of networking which connects you into either business, because when we talk about employment, recruitment for employment, there are some of the business that are done online, and we link it up with what we are doing in the IT based sector, how to differentiate this. You are presiding over a timely required body, which is to serve many Ugandans and maybe also create a platform that can give us a forecast where we can go in terms of developing our economy, both for generating revenue for the country and also enabling our population to be productive in a such way. How are you prepared to mitigate and harmonize such prevailing challenge and forecast into the future of how we will do it best?
Thank you, Doctor. As Anthony rightly put it, technology is fast introducing various and alternative platforms of gambling. And as the gaming board, we are actually in the process of amending our act and introducing regulations, because technology has had a great impact on this sector. And our focus now is how to ensure that our law, our regulations speak to how we best regulate using technology. Like he rightly put, we are already in the process of implementing what we call a National Central Electronic Monitoring System. And this system basically is going to serve quite a number of issues. One, we are focused on responsible gaming. Responsible gaming, basically here we are focused on protecting underage and the vulnerable groups that are involved in gaming. This system also is going to help in money laundering. It's going to help in preventing money laundering. Of course, we are focused on effective revenue collection and ensuring that we only operate with registered and licensed companies. So all these companies that offer gaming activities will be interlinked with our system. So in real time, we'll be able to determine or to monitor the transactions of who is betting, how much are they betting, how much time are they spending on these systems, on these betting platforms, so that it can also inform policy on what limits should we come up with, what time of opening should we focus on. We have some provision in the law that speak to when these gaming houses should be open and when they should be closed. But of course, we see now the trend going online, and with statistics and with the help of this system helping us come up with the statistics, then we'll be able to, that data will be able to help us in formulating better policies and regulations in monitoring this sector.
Hey, Doctor,
Yes, please.
I had a question for Mr. Dennis there on especially the time for allowing these companies to operate. Recently, there was an appraisal in Parliament by members of Parliament and the Public Finance Committee, I think, and they said, why don't we put these gamings and lottery companies to only strictly operating in the night? And I read something about your comment on that, which was a little bit reserved, saying maybe the participation will be lower. Is there anything that you think can be done in that direction? Or you think actually we cannot have these gaming companies operate at night?
Well, when you say, and I think I need to put this in perspective. I think from Parliament, the issue with the parliamentarians that raised this issue was these gaming shops that open during the day. And you find at 10 a.m., the youth are already in these premises and they are betting. Currently, the law says 10 to 4.
10 a.m. to
4 a.m.
4 p.m.
4 a.m.
4 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and from our statistics, most of the people that actually engaged on these gaming platforms are people who are betting online. So these are the likes of doctors, corporates, the likes of you, who are in offices and either on the laptops betting. Yeah. So we see most online companies are doing much better than the land-based. But of course, it's a big concern for the land-based, where we have the youth getting to these betting shops at 10, and that is also something that is under study on how best to basically ensure that we don't have the youth get into these betting shops. The other thing we are encouraging is, can a person come buy a ticket and go away and go and do other things other than coming and sitting in the betting shop and sitting there the entire day?
The whole day.
Yeah, so it is something that we are focused on and ensuring that our inspectors look out for such activities and ensure that we sensitize the people that you are coming here to bet on a match that is going to happen maybe at 10 in the night. Come, buy your ticket and go and do other things and wait for the game, and you'll be able to know the results, and if you've won, you'll come back and pick your money. So basically the other issue we are focused on now is creating awareness, sensitization of the youth that this is not a money-making venture. This is not a source of income, it's just entertainment.
Okay, we will continue with our discussion looking at the strategy, because all of us we are interested in the national strategy for this good initiative. Let me call it good, much as I have not yet participated in it. I'm positive. What is the structure, your structure, which covers the 148 districts? And remember, if I talk about Uganda, this station will go as far as to the whole of East Africa, Somalia. We are about to reach Somalia, which will be part of East Africa, Kenya, and so forth. And as we are creating awareness, not only for Ugandans, we cross to Tanzania. The other day we were in Kenya. We are to be in also DRC. So the information you are sharing is for the East African community. What is the structure? According to a regulatory framework, you must be having a structure of the leadership structure, the administration of structure, of creating the awareness to let people know how one participates, what are the challenges that are to be mitigated, because you have a regulatory framework in place. You are expected to be having a leadership. You are supposed to be having a strategy to cover the 100 220 million Ugandans, please. I would like to welcome you to show us the big picture of how we are going to spread, because we seem to have taken a slow pace. South Africa, they're able now to earn as a country 1.8 trillion. We are not saying you've not done work. You've been just around since 2016. But we'd like to see, you know, the master plan, strategic plan of how to realize our dream as a country.
Thank you. But let me first change or put this narrative across. The major mandate of the National Lotteries and Gaming Board is basically to protect citizens against adverse effects of gaming. We are not largely focused on revenue. Revenue is, yes, another component, but our major focus is how do we protect the public against adverse effects of gaming. That notwithstanding, we have a category of a license called a national lottery, which is, like I said, a preserve of the Minister of Finance for purposes of raising funds to contribute to good causes. So in that perspective, the strategy we have is to launch a national lottery whose proceeds will fund the good causes defined by the minister. And as a board, we have proposed some areas that we clearly see that will ensure the success of this national lottery, which I alluded to as sports infrastructure development, specialized health infrastructure, and arts and culture. So as a strategy of the board to contribute to the economy of this country, it is one of the aspects we are focused on. However, much as our major mandate is to protect the public,
citizens,
we are also putting in place strategies to ensure that there is effective revenue collection to contribute to the economy of this country. And one of it is that system that I have mentioned, and the other is basically standardizing this industry.
Do you have a target? Because the good thing you are under the response of the Ministry of Finance, which in most cases deal directors of the National Planning Authority in terms of coming up with indicative figures. What's the target, maybe of a certain financial year to another year? What's the target for the effective revenue collection that we are talking about?
In terms of the National Lottery, we are looking at 150 billion per year.
150 billion.
As at the start of the first year the National Lottery has been launched. And this is basically the percentage of the operations of the National Lottery. It's about 25% that we are looking at going to the good causes. That is on the part of the National Lottery. However, we have other sources, gaming revenue and the NTR, because we collect both. We collect NTR and of course revenue from these gaming operations, sports betting, casinos, and if I am to give figures, last financial year there was a revenue contribution of 110 billion from gaming and gaming revenue, tax revenue and non-tax revenue. This just financial year we are in the last quarter, the first quarter, there has been a revenue generation of 38 billion. So we clearly see that we are going to hit about 150 for these normal licenses we issue of sports betting and casinos. And once we introduce the National Lottery, we are also looking at about 150. So we see the trend is going to be promising in terms of revenue collection, and we believe this will impact on some of the activities the government will.
We are making a comparative analysis. Before I will go to Mr. Ball on the third arm or the target, of which is employment, because I am able to categorize citizen protection and then effective revenue collection, but also in the general perspective of our citizens. They believe participating in lotteries and in other ways of the electronic engagement, the IT, since it's an IT-led sector that is supposed to be boosting, also contributing to employment opportunities. But before we go to that, I would like to have a comparative analysis, which you may be much more covered with than myself. You gave this example of South Africa, which is able to get the national revenue from lotteries 1.8. I'm not comparing ourselves with them, since for us, we seem to be younger. This was 1999, and now we're in 2022, around 21 years. But I'm ambitious a bit at times. I look at, can we reach a certain time nearer closer to this? How did this one make it? And of course, I'm referring to South Africa. Some countries like USA, they are doing far better. And again, I'm reserved on it with an understanding that their level of development is far better than us. But still, we cannot continue crawling. What is our projection? Because every time, if I was in a position to make Uganda fly to a better developed country, not always to be behind. What is the comparative analysis? How have they done it best in South Africa, USA, and us? How are we going to achieve a better target beyond 110 billion of our income?
Doctor, can I add something before he answers that?
Yes, please.
I think Doctor really likes money, and that's why he's pestering you on that one. But that revenue, I would prefer, when that revenue is coming in, no matter the figures, it shouldn't be at the cost of our, social and mental and physical well-being as a country. Because, Doctor, yes, we can levy, let's say, 1 trillion shillings from our people and find who have lost money. Because remember, the more money we are collecting from these people, the more we are seeing betting going into the public, right? And all these people are putting money in there. Trust me, it comes at a cost. It means the more you're making out of it, the more money people are losing out there. The more this is impacting their social well-being. And the more we are going to need to finance, the Ministry of Health to tackle mental health illnesses. If you know, Doctor, very well, today mental health is an issue. You go to Butabika, people are there because they lost money in some of these schemes.
There was also a mention that we have like 10 million Ugandans who are psychologically challenged.
Exactly. So as you pester Mr. Mudene on how they are going to levy more money, I think the regulatory body should also think about how they are using this money to support, right? Rather than getting more money and then we lose all this money trying to actually make up for what the losses we have actually made. That's just what I wanted to comment about.
Thank you, Anton, and you've put it well. And like you said, Doctor loves money. I want to put it that the focus on the gaming board is not generating revenue. Our focus is protecting the citizen against adverse effects of gaming. And but still, to answer you, these developed countries have been able to get where they are because, one, they have put in place a strict legal framework to ensure better regulating of this sector. Given that this sector has largely gone online and is driven by IT, they have been able to put in place automated systems to basically monitor this sector, and it has helped on both ends, revenue collection and also protecting the citizens.
The citizens doesn't have the arm of employment.
It does, and I was going to come to it.
Would you hold on and then we'll go for a break, then you build on that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go for the short break. We'll come back.